Hello, criminal justice enthusiasts, and welcome back to You Are the Judge. In the last case, we found a company negligent in allowing their employee to fall off a building. In this case, looks like we might have a murder going on. Well, wasn't able to really just click on it without it going forward, so we'll see what we got here soon. It's snowing outside. Perfect. We're getting into that winter season here as well, so it's sort of perfect timing here. Alright, let's see what we got here. Hello, sir. I'm not feeling well today, and as a result, I couldn't conduct detailed research. I apologize for this. I did my best to assess the impact of yesterday's case. Thankfully, it didn't have any negative effects. In general, it might have slightly increased sympathy for you among the public. That's all I have to convey. Alright, we have a government statement. Government is requesting that you investigate the crime scene for the murder suspicion involved in your next lawsuit. Alright, so we're going to the crime scene. And they're waiting for me in the pretrial hearing, as normal. 80% for the government, 93% for the Supreme Court. The government one is new, isn't it? Not sure on that one. Supreme Court 93, 83% for the public, which is good. And my spouse is basically still the same. Courtrooms are very small and very few people can attend as spectators. My courtroom's not been full yet, so you can definitely come in and watch if you want to. How are judge appointments made? I have no idea. Is communism banned in our country? I'm going to respond. I don't know if that's true for this fictional country, but I'm going to respond anyways. I should have just put yes. I'm not sure if there's a security camera in the courtroom. That's a valid question. I wish I did know. You can never intimidate me because I do my job correctly. I agree with that. Not going to be intimidated. Having a nice dinner and then watching a movie with your significant other. Always a nice thing. I love to do that. Sometimes we'll watch a sporting event, sometimes a movie, but it is really nice to get to spend some quality time with my wife and just have a nice dinner at home and watch something together. Hopefully, for all of you who have a significant other, you get that time together as well. It's a great thing to do. Alright, so we're going to head to the crime scene. I love that they request it, but you really don't get an option. You've got to go. Alright, so we got a murder here. Body was there, something's over there, we got footprints over here. Upon a detailed examination of the crime scene, a size 42 shoe print was discovered. It has not yet been associated with a suspect or witness. The shoe print has been clearly imprinted on the floor. Shoe print has been meticulously examined and measured by a crime scene team. It is noted as significant physical evidence. Alright, sort of basic looking shoe print, but I'm not sure how big 42 is. I'm used to sizes that we have here, and like my size would be like an 11. So my feet are sort of on the okay-ish side for a guy. 42 would be like Andre the Giant size, or probably even bigger. There are dried blood stains found at the location where the body was discovered. According to the analysis, the results of the blood sample sent to the laboratory, the identified blood is determined to belong to the victim. Well, that usually is the case. If it's dried blood with the victim's body, it probably is. Joshua Mitchell. Investigation is underway to determine the circumstances and injury details based on the dried bloodstains. Okay, so we don't have something like a knife here? Interesting. Ooh, but we do have a camera. A limited number of security cameras were identified at the crime scene. Upon interviewing the shop owners for individual camera inspection, it was determined that only one camera was actively operational. The camera recordings have been preserved and submitted to the court. All right. Well, that is very interesting and exciting to me. I'm curious what we're going to see in that video there. And both of those officers probably need to shave. They sort of look like they're ruffians there instead of being members of the court. Or of the law enforcement, I should say. No new emails. Popped up the 3 again, so I wasn't sure if I had a new one. Alright, let's go to the pretrial. Journalists must be quite happy about the prospect of interviewing judges after trial. Newspaper company stocks in the country have skyrocketed. Hey, we got a press loyalty has gone up. That's good. All right. We'll let him sit down fully before we click on it. Let's hear from the plaintiff. The victim, Joshua Mitchell, worked as a quiet and reserved book editor. Prior to the murder, there were professional conflicts between him and the defendant, Isabel, who was extremely frustrated because she couldn't obtain Joshua's professional position. In fact, there are witnesses who saw her throw a small miniature sculpture at the victim's head in the office. Based on the evidence and witnesses, it is clear that Isabel committed the murder. Therefore, we request the defendant's punishment. All right, defense attorney. My client acknowledges that, as mentioned by the plaintiff, there were recent disputes related to professional competition. However, this situation never escalated to a level where she would harm him. It was occasional outbursts of anger and frustration due to unfulfilled career goals that occasionally raised tensions. My client vehemently denies the murder allegations against her. All right. No objections on either side, so let's go to the case. And we're just going to pick the first card again. Your relationship with your family will increase by 5 points. Yay, it went down by 5 last time. It'll increase 5 this time. I hate the card game still. It means nothing to me. The lawsuit begins. All right, we'll look at this here. Respectful, calm, neat. Respectful, tense, neat. Well, she is on trial for her life, basically. So, understandable that she's tense. Look at that. Look at this. All right. Now on to the important stuff. 45-year-old Joshua Mitchell was found dead near the garbage container in his neighborhood. Dried bloodstains and shoe prints on the ground were notable. Joshua was a well-known book editor who led a quiet and peaceful life in his neighborhood. According to those around him, he had been somewhat tense and his behavior had been erratic lately. The murder occurred during the night hours. According to security footage, the person responsible for the murder wore a black hat and thick coat, but their face was not visible. Isabel Thompson, a coworker named by friends, was reported to have wanted to take over Joshua's job, and they had arguments about it. I'm going to need to see what a size 42 on shoe means. In U.S. size. Alright, so 40 EU size 42 corresponds to US women's shoe size 10.5. So it would be a woman's shoe size. Interesting. Alright, we've got witnesses. Footage from the only security camera operating in the alley. Alright, well, let's look at that. We want to get to see how he died and stuff first. That could have been helpful. I mean, really doesn't show us a whole lot at all. These cameras, while neat, don't really provide a lot of help. All right, let's look at the law book here. Now, I was going to say if I found her guilty, I'm not looking at it right now. I know it's up on the screen, but I'm looking away from the screen because I wanted to state what I would say here. If I was going to find her guilty of first-degree murder in this kind of a situation, I would probably give her a life imprisonment sentence. So if I had to put a specific number on it, I'd probably say 80 years. Any person who intentionally caused the death of another person shall be deemed to have committed offensive homicide. If the crime of murder is considered to be a result of discrimination based on the factors such as religion, language, or race, it is punished with a more severe penalty. If the crime of murder is committed with a sense of brutality and premeditation, it starts for 18 years and can be increased up to 100 years. So my 80-year sentence would be fairly accurate there. I could be okay with that. All right, so let's talk to everybody here now. What makes you believe Isabel Thompson killed Joshua Mitchell? Considering the professional conflicts and previous arguments between the two, we believe that the situation escalated beyond professional rivalry, and we have reason to believe that Isabel had the motivation to harm Joshua. Do also notice her shoes over here almost look like boots. Can you tell us about the conflicts between Joshua Mitchell and Isabel? There were escalating professional conflicts between Joshua Mitchell and Isabel Thompson, which had become openly apparent in the office in recent times. These conflicts had reached an unethical level in terms of workplace conduct. Do you see any other suspects in Joshua Mitchell's death? No. Well, that's definitely a tough one there for her. Why were there disputes between you and Joshua Mitchell? I wanted to advance in my career, but I felt that he was constantly blocking me. He was jealous of me, and that's why we had disputes. All right. What were you doing on the night of the murder? I was at home that night, watching a newly released TV series. With anyone? When was your last interaction with Joshua Mitchell? A day before. No, I think it was a few days ago. It happened at the office. We argued, but I absolutely had no intention of harming him. Yeah, she's not sounding very credible. Since we argued frequently, it had become a common occurrence and didn't bother or anger me much anymore. Once again, I wish there was more detail in these cases. What can you tell us about Joshua Mitchell? Joshua Mitchell led a very calm and organized lifestyle. We were close friends, and we used to meet frequently. What can you tell us about the conflicts or arguments between Joshua Mitchell and Isabel Thompson? There were frequent disputes, and they often said hurtful things to each other, which became quite evident in our office. All right. Did you see Joshua Mitchell on the night of the murder? Yes. He was at the gym. He cared about his fitness. After greeting him, I also did my daily workout. And then he left the gym. Did you ever visit the crime scene on the night of the murder? No, I didn't. Did you notice any hints about Joshua Mitchell's recent behavior? I noticed that Joshua Mitchell seemed more tense and stressed when he came to the gym. However, I never noticed any signs of his death. I never even remotely imagined such an event would occur. All right. What were you doing on the night when the murder took place? I was coming home late from work that night. I stopped near the crime scene on my way home and waited for the police to arrive. Did you notice anything suspicious on the night of the murder? When the police arrived at the crime scene, I noticed dried blood stains and shoe prints on the ground. I also heard that a piece of paper was found at the crime scene. Piece of paper? I didn't see a piece of paper. It was not marked as one of the things that I could look at. Did you hear about tension between Joshua? Yes, it was well discussed conflict among people around us. Both of them used to argue frequently in the workplace. And there definitely is a piece of paper there, but I didn't get to see that piece of paper at all. Again, the vagueness really makes it brutal at points in time. All right. Let's go to the decision. Testimonies of witness following the case may affect the content of the case. All right. I didn't see anything that suggests that. I've sort of gotten tired of writing the justifications because it doesn't do anything here. Since I'm talking to you anyways, I'm just going to talk it out like I would in court. There was definitely the issues between the two of them. Now, with sort of the United States way of doing things, this evidence wouldn't be enough for me to convict this person. However, in this game, they don't give you enough evidence to make convictions most of the time. So I'm saying the guy's dead. There was an obvious fight between the two of them. The shoe size is that of a woman, according to at least my brief Google search. So I'm going to say that she needs to go to prison for 80 years. And I was wrong. Great. I have to say, this game does get very frustrating because they do not give the evidence needed to make accurate decisions. So, yeah. All right then. Your spouse is planning to host a dinner for the neighbors. What are your thoughts on this? That's a great idea. Yep, I'm fine with it. My spouse wants to do something. I am happily supporting her. All right. So we have another murder case in our next case here. And after this case and a few of the others that we've had, it's not just the ones I'm getting quote unquote wrong. It's more my reason that I'm getting them wrong that is getting me frustrated with this game right now. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to make one more video and cover this case. If you guys really, really want me to do season 2, let me know in this video and in the last video, this Cobarty versus Daniel Hayes case, um, and I will take that into consideration. I have to say though, like I said, I can't help but sort of compare games, this game versus Judge Sim, and I really will say I did enjoy Judge Sim a lot more than I did this one. And the biggest thing for me, the art style and stuff, this one is a little bit more detailed. I like that about this one. I do like the fact that there's a bit more of the trial here. I like the pre-trial hearings. I like going to the crime scenes. I like all that extra little stuff that this game does. I even like that they give you footage. That's really cool too. But the stuff that they give you is great. They don't give you enough. So, one case, I said the person was innocent because there wasn't enough evidence to prove the guy had done it. They penalized me because evidently I was supposed to have found that there was enough evidence that he was guilty. In this case, same exact thing. There wasn't really enough evidence, but I said she was guilty and I was wrong there too. It just feels like the game needed some more detail. And I have a feeling the issue is probably one that's really a big issue in the fact that I think that this game, it just feels like it was not made for English as the first language type of situation. And perhaps maybe the US market is the wrong one for it. Perhaps there is a country where the views and the presentation is more aligned with how that country would actually be. For the US, I can't help because I've been born and raised in the United States that my mind works like a United States citizen. So when I'm looking at a case, I'm thinking about it in the sort of US way of thinking of it. And if I don't see the evidence, I don't see the evidence. So as I said, personally, I'm not that interested in doing season 2 right now. It just the game gets frustrating for me when I'm really trying my best to look at all the evidence, to be fair in the evidence, and the game just doesn't give me enough to make a good decision one way or the other. So with that, as I said, I do want to finish up season 1. We will do this in the next video, but then after that, I think I'm going to go ahead and take a break from this game, and we'll see if I bring it back at a different point in time. As I said, if it's something you really are enjoying, please do let me know because I do give a great deal of concern and interest in what you guys think, and I do care about your opinions. For my personal stance, though, if you guys don't have a lot to say, I probably am going to say this is going to be the last case that I do on this game, and I'll move on to other games that I just enjoy a bit more because they're fully fleshed out. Perfect example would be I'm not against these type of games. If Judge Sim 2 were to show up tomorrow, without a question, I would be purchasing it and you would see it on the channel. But that's because I already know sort of the feel that that's going to have, and I know I'm going to get the evidence I need to make the decision properly. And I also love the fact on that game that they don't do punishing things anymore. The the you are the law type of mentality they had in this last portion was great because your decision is final and it is your decision. You get to make the call without having to worry about being quote unquote right or wrong. And definitely the removal of the card game type thing is a good thing for these type games. With all that in mind though, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the video, please go ahead and click that like button. If you've not already, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so that you're aware when I produce new videos in the future. Thank you, and I hope to see you all back for one more episode of You Are the Judge.